espero que nadie se ofenda, pero hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo.
Balcão da área, deu para Yaremchuk, cruzou Gilberto, que confusão, vai ser o primeiro, tirou para dentro! Marca Darwin, é Benfica, é Benfica, é Benfica! Ele vai atirar! Absolutamente fenomenal da parte de Otamendi, vai errar, fez o alto para o golo, a chapelada, tirou para dentro! Voltava o golo do Ribatejano, é Benfica, é Benfica, é Benfica!
Só nós sentimos isso.
Good evening. Welcome to episode 95 of Cantinho Benfiquista podcast. Amsterdam awaits us. Today we are off the back of an emotional roller coaster, which seems to be the normal for Benfica these days. With me, Mike, your host. I got Bill. I got Oscar. Kenny may be joining us. Gentlemen, how are we?
All right, better than I thought I was going to
be. A lot better than I thought.
Everyone had the alcoholic beverages queued up just in case today was going to be a painful one. I'm sure many people expected it to be a painful one. We have a lot to unpack today in terms of today's game. First time back since the draw against Boavista. We're not going to really touch on that game specifically. We'll talk about today's game, and we can kind of throw in some comparisons that we kind of saw from that game on Friday to the game today. For those of you tuning in, feel free to leave us your thoughts, your comments, your feedback, your opinions. You can vent to us in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking. Para a malta que esteja a ver em português, estejam à vontade de deixar os vossos comentários, as vossas opiniões na caixa de comentários e nós iremos abordar certamente. Hoje temos o podcast em inglês, mas também temos o nosso podcast em português. Por isso, agradecemos desde já vocês seguirem aqui o nosso cantinho. Let's just kick it off here. 2-2, Benfica Ajax. A lineup that I would say surprised a little bit. Vlaco Dimbos in goal, Grimaldo, Vertonghen, Otamendi, Gilberto, Everton, Weigl, Tarap, Rafa, Gonçalo Ramos, and Darwin up top. Gonçalo Ramos again playing kind of in a hybrid role, like a false nine, but also kind of like a midfielder. I'm not going to give my opinion yet, as I'll get into it. Un abraço a Carlos, tuning in from the UK. I'll throw my thoughts in as we go through this. Oscar, I'll start with you. First of all, give us your thought on what you thought the result was going to be, right? I know we had a back and forth in the group chat this morning about where we thought it was going to end up. I know Kenny and Bill were more on the pessimistic side, expecting the worst. But again, I know what they were doing. It was one of those mentality games where it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to say that we're going to get smashed. And then, when we do get smashed, they're going to be like, told you so. Right. And then when we don't get smashed, it's like, oh, well, yeah, good job, guys. I know that game.
Isn't that Oscar's realist path, right?
And I'm sure that there were many non-Benfica fans that were hoping that we were going to get fucking trampled. And fortunately, that wasn't the case. So thoughts on what you expected going in and what you saw from the game. And then were there any surprises in that lineup, specifically Tarap coming in, João Mário on the bench, and even Gilberto getting the start?
All right. So I thought the game was Benfica played an open game. It reminded me of the game that we played against Barcelona. We gave them the possession, but then we countered. and I think that's where we get the best of Darwin, we get the best of like the fast guys up top, and even Rafa, right? Finally, we saw some Rafa today that we haven't seen in the last month or so. So I was happy to see that. I was happy to see the Garra that Benfica had played with today. It was the team. I mean, Tarap starting didn't surprise me because he came in against Boavista and he actually was a good player against our best player against Boavista, right?
But did it surprise you in the sense that a guy like Tarap against a team like Ajax, who transitions well and attacks well, a guy like Tarap typically gives the ball up in bad positions, right? I know that for me, I was a bit concerned given that it was a midfield too.
Right. No, I was expecting if Tarap played, I was expecting probably Ramos to be taken out, right, and playing another midfielder, so Tarap could play the false nine type of position, right. That would help the midfield defend a little bit, like Tarap does. It hustles back, and it would help move the ball forward, right, which Tarap does really well. So if the only change I would do is that I would keep Tarap 10, but I would probably have taken out Ramos and started was João Mario not available?
He was on the bench.
Yeah.
But I think it's just he's lacking fitness from being out.
He is. But even if you add a Paulo Bernardo or João Mario and then just Tarap 10 and Weigl in the middle, it gives us the strength that in the middle that it would basically make me feel a little better or easier coming into this game. But these guys surprised me. They played a lot of garra. They gave it all. You could tell the Ajax is a better team. You can as a team, not individually, but a team, they're better, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, it was more like I was surprised by how well Benfica, put up a fight against them. And we look at the goals we gave away. And we're like, the hell, man! We could have easily won this game. So, but it was a good surprise. I mean, a 2-2 I'll take because I was expecting. In my heart, I was expecting I wanted to win because I said a 2-1 win, right? Yep. But in my all, I'm like, shit, we're gonna get smoked. We're not gonna stand a chance because especially how they started the first half, mm-hmm. and then we basically slowly came into the game and we evened it out, and then actually we're better than them.
I agree with you. Let me just touch on some comments here. Edmilson Lopes, foi o melhor jogo do Benfica esta época. Já agora, para a malta que esteja a ver, mais uma vez, estejam à vontade de deixar os vossos comentários em português. Nós iremos falar sobre eles. Hoje temos o nosso podcast em português, mas também temos aqui um podcast hoje temos o podcast em inglês, também temos um podcast em português, mas hoje é o nosso podcast em inglês, mas estejam à vontade de deixar os vossos comentários. Admilson disse foi o melhor jogo do Benfica esta época. Fred, que salvo erro também esteve lá na Catedral hoje. Boa noite, pessoal. Hoje jogou-se mais ou menos. Tarap fez um bom jogo. Admilson souberam pressionar, posicionar e definir bem em muitos momentos, e Tarap fez um bom jogo atualmente, o melhor 8 dentro do plantel. Oscar, I'll stick with you and then I'll pass it to Bill. Thoughts on these comments, right? Do you think it was Benfica's best game this season in terms of Tarap?
The season, I wouldn't say the season because we've had games against Braga. We won 6-1, and that.
But given the context, I guess, and the opponent.
And if you say the last 4 months, I say it's the most complete game Benfica's had. Not that we had a game like our first half was nothing special, but we usually.
I think the first half we were a bit more timid.
Right, we were just trying to get used to them and get into to figure them out, right? And we felt they were afraid to play them, mm-hmm. right? And then we got used to them and we played better than them. I think we had this game was one of the most complete games against a really, really good team. And when it comes to Tarap being our best number 8, I think it's form, and he's had a few 4 games straight that he was looked like a superstar, and then he fell off the charts and he was like one of our worst players. So I think right now he's playing. He's really above João Mario, what João Mario can offer at the current moment, but I don't know if he'll be for going forward.
Correct, matter consistency. Fred says, Tarata é o único que leva a bola para a frente, comete alguns erros quando arrisca demais, mas acho que o Benfica estudou mal o Ajax, basta fazer passo para trás dos defesas e pode ser que conseguimos marcar mais golos. True, Ajax they don't concede many goals, but they also don't give up the possession very often, right? And I think we saw in the second half that Ajax took a step back and Benfica was on top of the game. there was, every time we broke, it seemed like it was, a 3v3, 3v4. Rafa had a couple situations. So I thought it was interesting that we were able to expose Ajax in that second half. And just like, in my opinion, I've criticized Nelson Verissimo for adjustments that he's made poorly and it's impacted the team negatively. I thought that in that second half, like you said, Oscar, right? The first half, I felt we were very timid. Conceding that early goal, I felt like the team was like, shit, we don't want to get smashed here.
Not again.
But they reacted. They reacted well. And then in the second half, it was like they flipped the switch, and it was like we had the ball more. We were more objective in what we did in the final third, and we missed some chances. And Ajax also missed chances as well, but we also missed chances that we could have won that game. Bill, thoughts on the game, what you expected and what we saw? And just quickly, Diogo, abraço para ti, Diogo. Carlos Pereira, tirando o lance do Grimaldo e o Rafa, que não gosta de trabalhar, foi grande Benfica, lá ganhamos 0-1. Espero que seja esse o caso. Bigode à Benfica, boa noite, abraço. Hoje já é tarde aí desse lado, mas boa noite e obrigado por participares aqui no nosso cantinho hoje. Bill, thoughts on what you expected and thoughts on what you saw?
Yeah, I definitely was
be honest,
more on the negative side. I thought it could have got. I think my prediction was 2-1, but I thought it could have easily.
But you didn't want to say 2-1. You wanted it to be higher.
Yeah,
or you expected it to be
exactly.
Higher.
Yeah, I did expect it to be higher because Ajax is one of those teams like Bayern. Once they get one, they tend to get them in bunches, and we saw that in the group stage of the Champions League. They would score goals in bunches in quick succession. So I thought, predict 2-1, but I thought it could get out of hand quickly. But I was surprised with how we reacted after that first goal. We've seen plenty of times this year where we concede a super goal like that and the team kind of drops their head, and you can tell in the body language of the players that they're
Boavista is a perfect example.
Yeah, like they were just demoralized, like shit, not again type of thing. But they fought back. It wasn't a pretty game, not in the least. Like it was ugly battle.
It was more heart for me than skill,
they didn't play well, and I was getting so pissed because we kept trying to play out of the back, and every time we did, we fucking put ourselves in trouble. And that first goal was right off of a clearance from Vlaco to Grimaldo, and Grimaldo takes a horrendous touch that sends, I think it was Anthony, in, and then Tadic was in the back post wide open. But
and I must say that a lot of people criticized, right? The goal, I think, starts obviously from Grimaldo's terrible touch. But a lot of people criticized Gilberto because he wasn't there. Tadic was wide open. But in fairness, Benfica is coming out from the back, right? And that play happens really fast. Right? Like Grimaldo takes a terrible touch, right? If Gilberto's basically in the same position Grimaldo was on the opposite side to give them a length or width, right? Like we can't expect him in a snap of a finger to end up being back to where the hell Tadic was at that moment.
No. And I think Otamendi I think it was him in the middle. It looked like he read it wrong, because it looks like he got a little too deep, and then when he realized how deep he was, he like tried to kind of ship back out, but he slipped or something. But I even if he read it right, I don't think he would have been able to get back and get in front of Tadic. And he's a lefty too, and he fucking puts that thing top corner off a bounce with his right foot.
I don't know if he mishit it or if he meant to tuck it that way, but it was like he sliced it.
It was a nice hit.
It was a good shot.
It was top corner. It was a nice hit. But I agree with what Oscar said. I think we came in a bit timid, and then in that second half, you could definitely tell we kind of grew into the game. And by the end, I thought we completely controlled the game, and maybe could have come out with a win. I think there was a few chances there where we probably could have squeezed in another goal. But I mean, if you had told me before the game started 2-2 draw, I would have taken it hands down, especially against Ajax, the way they've looked all season. But I was surprised given how we looked on Friday, and coming to today was like polar opposites, I think.
What do you think about the play with Gonçalo Ramos in the box. Fred says Steve mesmo na luz e houve penalty claro sobre o Gonçalo Ramos. What do you think of that, Bill?
The contact's light. It's soft. I'll agree with that. And I think the way Ramos goes down, I don't think that helps him at all. But if that's Ronaldo, that's a PK. 100%. If that is Ronaldo taking that touch and getting clipped on the heel like he got clipped, that's a PK.
No, but there's a if you look at the picture, the frames,
the still frame, it looks like he steps on his leg.
He steps on his heel.
But
on
the real play, he doesn't step on him. His foot's in the air.
He catches like his cap, like
his foot's in the air. Yeah.
Area.
Yeah.
But he catches them. And
he does.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't. If that was Ronaldo or Messi or Mbappe, one of the, if it was one of those, I would not be shocked.
It's the big leagues. This isn't the Portuguese league. I was immediately of the opinion. I was chatting with Jean Lamerdin, and I said the same thing. I thought that it was extremely light. I didn't think it was a penalty. Just like I don't think that the one on the other side before our goal was a penalty either, no, right? Like there's a touch, but the player's looking for it. It's a contact sport. Like I think those penalties potentially get called in the Portuguese league. When it comes to the big leagues, I'm not surprised that they didn't call it. Because if that was against us, I would have been pissed off as hell if they called that penalty against us. Very light touch. Oscar, right. Did you agree? You think it was a penalty?
I mean, I agree that it's light, but when I didn't see I saw a few replays, and the replays didn't seem like Ramos was looking for it. But then I saw the still picture that they showed on Benfica TV, and they're like, and the guy steps on his heel, and I'm like, man, I didn't see that live, right? I didn't see that on the replays. So I thought that if they had this still picture and the VAR, they should have called this PK. So,
yeah, it's tricky. The still images are deceiving, right? When you don't see the actual video play out, even when you slow down the play, sometimes it portrays a different image of what really happened. Diogo brings up a good point here. Red card on Anthony. Oscar, what did you think about that melee?
All right. So usually when two guys come with the heads together, right? Usually it's a yellow.
Yep.
Right. So right there, Darwin goes to the Balneario because he has a yellow already. So
fair.
So I think he held back and showing both guys yellows, and only showed Anthony a yellow for the extra that he did. Because obviously with two guys touch heads, I don't even care if one is not looking for it. It's yellow, and in this case, Darwin gets a red, and the other guy gets only a yellow. So,
but Anthony makes a motion to
yeah.
But yes, if he gives a red to Anthony, he gives a yellow to Darwin. So they both go.
Fair, but in the scheme of the second leg, do you think there's more of an impact if Anthony's gone opposed to Darwin, or do you think it's a similar impact?
I think it's very similar.
I think Darwin would have been a bigger loss for us,
especially the way when we know they're going to have all the possession and we're going to be playing more of a counterattack. I think Darwin's crucial for us, and then it's crucial for them to have Anthony because when they have possession, he's probably their best player. So it's a give and take, but I think Darwin at this moment is more crucial for us than that he is for them.
Fair, Bill. Do you agree with that?
No, I agree. My only thing is, like you mentioned, that head motion. Like he did make that headbutt motion kind of toward Darwin. Typically when you see that, especially with VAR now, any kind of motion like that is a direct red. Yep. But looking at it, the way Oscar kind of played it out, I kind of agree with that. Like most of the times if two guys are coming head to head, because Darwin, he was the one that kind of leaned in first.
He did.
So it's yellow.
If you're going with that yellow, then or yellow red, then Darwin's gone too. So I mean, I think he kind of...
That's a good perspective. I didn't think about that, Oscar, but that's a good point, right? Because Darwin was already on a yellow.
Yeah.
With a stupid foul at the beginning of the second half, I think, right?
Stupid foul. Let's see here. We have Fred said, or Ricardo said, ainda não percebi bem qual a função do Gonçalo Ramos e claramente Nelson Veríssimo não é treinador para o Benfica. Oscar, what did you think about this? I thought that Gonçalo Ramos, for me, in the first half, didn't really do much. We've talked about him in the past weeks that as a striker, he's not scoring goals. He's not getting many assists. But in that second half, I thought he had a ridiculous 45 minutes. I mean, off the ball, he was working back. He was first line of pressure. And just as I've criticized him, I think we need to hats off to him in that second half. He worked his socks off.
No, I agree. I think he needs. I didn't think he would start this game. I thought, like I said, I would have put Tarapton playing behind the striker or as a number type of 8, between 8 and 9, that number 10 type of position, and I would have left Ramos on the bench, right? And then I would have put Ramos in fresh in the second half, 60 minutes to do what he did in our second half here, which is work his socks off to try to get a result. But I don't know what I can expect from Ramos. He's a workhorse. He works hard. He runs nonstop. But man, I want more from him. Meaning, like in the final third, I want goals. I want assists. I want something. Darwin last year wasn't scoring goals, but he's assisting. Yep. We're not getting this from Ramos, so I don't know. And like with João Felix, he's trying to use Ramos as a João Felix, right? But João gave us goals, gave us assists. So I don't know. I don't know how long we can go until he starts producing.
Bill, what do you think?
My biggest criticism of him is his decision making. He played well in the second half, but there was still times where he got the ball like on the goal. Like why?
Oh, I literally almost lost
30 yards out with your weak foot. Yep. Shoot it. Like it was a decent shot, but
he had guys wide.
It looked like it was on frame. Like it looked like it was going.
And in fairness, the goalie fucked that up.
Like, he could have easily
straight up.
He could have easily put it wide. The ball's already going wide, but he could have easily pushed it wider.
Yeah,
but I think we've seen it game in and game out. Like his decision making when he has the ball at his feet isn't there yet, and you would expect that at this age and.
But it'll come with time, right? He's playing in a hybrid position that he, according to Nelson Verissimo, he played in the Furmação, right? He played in a midfield role. He plays as a striker, right? So he's adapting to not only the pressures of being a more regular in the A team, but also playing in a position that, he probably hasn't played that often in the last, 2 years of his career. So I can give him the leeway there. But I go back to what Oscar said, right? While he's working hard, what Red Baron SLB says here, a função do Gonçalo Ramos é fazer a ligação entre o meio campo e o ataque, abre linhas de passe no meio e atrai os laterais dando espaço aos extremos quando abrem. I agree with that. Estou completamente de acordo. Yeah. But for a player like him, who's the closest guy to your striker, he needs to give us something, right, from the midfield, right? Whether it's an assist, whether it's a goal, right? And sometimes it's unfair, right? Because you don't see, right, he can open up space for someone else that ends up creating a goal. But again, that decision making is a pain point for me. And fortunately, the goalie helped us out on that second goal, but I almost lost it when he took the shot instead of passing it wide. But fortunately, it worked out. Let's see. Carlos Pereira says, quando digo que o Rafa não gosta de trabalhar é no sentido que não ajuda na defesa quando viu o Tadic algumas vezes sozinho na direita.
I on that point, I saw Rafa coming back and defending quite a few times today. The slight tackle he had on the guy that had the ball, then he kept it between his legs. I mean, he's working hard. And then Rafa is a type of player that he gives it all going forward, right? You can't expect a player to run 90 miles an hour going forward and then run 90 miles an hour going back to the other opposite field to defend and help Gilberto defend. You didn't see that from Everton, and I don't see people criticizing Everton today. Like I think Rafa put in his work today. His first game in probably 5 that I actually give to him as he put in good work.
I thought the first half he was a bystander, but I thought in the second half he actually showed up.
And you can tell when he shows up, Benfica plays.
Correct, 100%. Like that second half where we had more ball, and it seemed like every time we went forward, we had pressure on them, right? Yeah. And there was a couple times where it was like a very 50-50 ball, and he just got his toe to it, and he was off to the races.
Yeah,
right?
And it's like, funny. Once he turns, it's like, let's see you later. Like the guys exactly. Are like, either I stop you by grabbing you, or you're later.
Exactly. But that's the thing, right? Like when he's on, he's that huge difference maker for us in a lot of ways. Go ahead, Bill.
And in this tie, he's going up against Danny Blind, who's not the fastest guy in the world. So you would expect, and in the second half, it looked like they took advantage of that, and Correct. He was getting in behind more, and I think they ended up taking him off.
Danny Blind they took out Blind out. Yeah.
And then he had that chance in the second half where he crosses it to Darwin, and the defender was
he should have shot. He should. Another one. I don't understand why
he could have taken 2 more steps and just put it on net.
Take a hit. But I don't.
I think it's also a confidence thing because he had a similar situation against Boavista, right? And he didn't even end up getting a shot off. Tarap played him in, and he didn't end up and putting a shot on. So it could be a confidence thing. Ricardo Salgado says Henrique Araújo com as mesmas oportunidades de Gonçalo Ramos tinha muito mais golos e mais assistências. É possível. Henrique Araújo is a different type of player. He's more aggressive. He's more of a guy in the box. So I don't disagree with that. Diogo says our main mistake in the first half was building plays from the back with Audi, like if we had Ederson on in the goal. What do you guys think of that? Because I know that in our group chat said that Audi coming out from the back with his feet worries me a lot. I know that there's a lot of times that he has to make very precise passes, but those are those passes that make a huge difference for a team that wants to play out of the back. But your thoughts on us playing out of the back and mistakes we made, and if Audi's a guy that we can count on to help us play out of the back. Whoever wants to go first.
I think it was I think in the way we did it in the second half was probably the way I would want to see it going forward. Like, pick your moments when to try to play those balls to our outside backs, and more often than not, when you're under pressure in the back, just get rid of the fucking ball. Like, I think in the first half, everything that went back to Vlaco, he was trying to find Grimaldo or Gilberto or Rafa. Like, he was trying to ping these 40-yard passes, and he's a goalie. Like, there's not many goalies in the world that are going to be able to put those balls like on the dime to those outside backs. I think you got to pick and choose your moments when to do it. And I think in the second half, he definitely did a better job at it. And like I said, if it's not there and you can't do it, just fucking get rid of it. Like, don't even attempt it, because then there was plenty of situations in the first half where we tried to go wide with it, horrible first touch, lose possession, and they're countering while we're fucking going up the field. Like, it's just, I think we just need to be smarter about it.
I think, I mean, I saw the Grimaldo bad touch. It was also a bad pass from Audi, right?
But Grimaldo's got to be better there.
He's got to be better there, right? But the ball's coming back to him, and he's a lefty, so he has to control this with his left going backwards, and it hits off the outside of his foot, right? But I get that there was not the best, but Audi hasn't been horrible passing the ball or pinging those balls to the wides. It hasn't been. We don't need it. I mean, not everybody's Edison that puts the ball 90 yards up the field to the forward for a tap in. Like, you see that probably one, two goalies in the world are doing that, right? Correct. So what Audi does, and I think he's obviously absolutely better than Late with the feet. You can't even question that, right? So that's our best choice. And I don't think he's that awful putting the ball with the playing on the field. So I mean, I haven't seen many mistakes with him with his feet unless he doesn't take care of. If he gets stuck, he just kicks it out, and he does that plenty of times. So I don't know if we have an issue right there.
No, I don't disagree. And he saved us once in the second half. I can't remember. I can't remember who
towards
they played
the end,
in,
right?
Over the top, and he came out.
He hit his leg. Actually, it was a deflection, and then after the deflection, hit his leg, and that was probably like that could have been a killer for us.
Correct. So, I mean, Audi's definitely been a savior for us throughout the season. So no complaints there. I think if there's something that he could work on is, controlling the space behind the defenders and with his feet. Is he the worst with his feet? No. Could he be better? Of course. But again, when we compare him to guys like Ederson, right, it's an unfair comparison.
And let's talk about one of the best keepers in the world, Liverpool's keeper, right? I've seen mistakes from him with his feet that I haven't seen Audi commit, right? Correct. So and he's probably the best goalkeeper in the world right now.
I don't disagree. Fred says, Grimaldo tem uma lacuna, defende mal, aliás, acho mesmo que o Barcelona há de vir buscá-lo. É jogador para equipas grandes, equipas extras de posse e sempre em ataque constante. Do you guys agree with that?
We all agreed that Grimaldo it works best in a system like the three backs, right? Because it frees him to attack more and doesn't have to make him defend as much. We all know Grimaldo is a type of player like Diogo Gonçalves is, not a pure right back or a left back. He's more of an attacking left back or left wing, right? So he benefits with the three backs where he has basically his back covered and he can attack. With this system playing four, we've won campeonatos with them playing as a back four, and he's impressed then, but it's not his best. I don't think that's his best formation for that.
Bill, you agree?
No, I agree. Yeah, we've all said all along with Grimaldo, his weakness is defending, and kind of sucks to say when you're a left back, but that's his weakness. But I mean, I think it all depends on the style of play that the team's playing. Like Fred mentioned, Barca. If he goes to Barca, I think he's a world-class outside back, because at Barca, you're going to control 99% of the games.
Yeah.
You're going to possess, and you're going to be the team going forward, and he's going to be bombing forward like he wants to. So I think it all depends on the team, and he looked good when we had the 3-back system.
Let's not forget, he looked good today too, and breaking through playing through the midfield and that cutting people off and passes to going forward. I think he was really good. I mean, going forward and then going back, he was also playing Anthony. I agree. It's not like he was playing like a joke.
And he stopped him a couple of times in a 1-on-1. So,
100%.
I mean, hats off to him, because there was a couple times that it was in the first half where Anthony had him at the edge of the box, and I thought he was going to toast him, and Grimaldo ended up getting away from it. But I did think Grimaldo was better in the second half, especially taking the ball out from the back, coming inside, and the defenders were looking for that pass, and he was able to break that line of pressure. So I thought that he looked much better in the second half. Fred says, aliás, Grimaldo joga ainda melhor se tiver colegas de nível superior, tal como o Pizzi. Deixei aqui este comentário para dar uma alegria ao Oscar.
Wait, is he joking, or is this?
No, I think he's being
right.
serious.
And I can talk. And I can talk to that. Players like Grimaldo, players like Everton, players like Pizzi, players like that like to have the ball and like play like a Barcelona type of tiki taka. They need those players around each other to play that kind of soccer, right? And that's why I think Grimaldo would benefit Barcelona, is because they play that kind of soccer. And Pizzi was one of those players that played that type of soccer, right? That small tiki-taka. So, yeah, I agree with Fred.
One question that I did want to raise here to you guys is, on Friday against Boavista, we see a first half of Benfica that, to us at the time, probably the best 45 minutes we've played in a long time. Right, we score 4 goals, 2 of them offsides. We go into the half at 2-0. Second half, we completely fall apart. Today, we said it in the last podcast, and I was very consistent or persistent about it, which was, this is the one competition remaining for Benfica, right? So, and it's the big stage. There's a lot of lights. There's a lot of cameras. A lot of flashes. And if there was a time for the team to step up and say present, this was it, right? Like, this was their chance. But my question to you guys is, I think it shows, right? Like, this team's capable of turning it on and turning it off whenever the hell they please, which, again, for me is concerning, right? Like, they basically pick and choose. Like, second half against Boavista, they completely shit the bed, right? Like, there was a lack of intensity. It was almost like they were already in cruise control thinking about the game against Ajax. And then today, right, while it wasn't always the prettiest, it wasn't always the best collective performance from just an attitude perspective, from a mental perspective, right? You go down early, 20 minutes in against Ajax, and all of this hoopla all week about how Ajax has scored 39 goals in their last 10 games, and they've only conceded 5, and they've scored 110 goals in the league, or whatever the case may be. It would have been very easy for this team to completely unravel going down 1-0 at home against this Ajax team. And for whatever reason, right, and we can discredit Ajax as much as we want, but I think we have to give credit to Benfica that they reacted very well given the circumstances and what we've seen from the last 2 months. But do you guys get the same sense as I do, that it's almost like a switch? Like, okay, today we're gonna fucking go balls to the wall. Tomorrow is the Campeonato, we're playing against Vizela. Fuck it, we'll go out there and kick the ball around, and whatever happens. Am I the only one seeing this, or do you guys see it as well?
I think because we have the players that we have, like, we have the Otamendi's who have played in Manchester City. We have Vertonghen who played at Tottenham and played in top clubs. He's the captain of Belgium. Captain. Yeah. So we have players that like, almost the Portuguese Campeonato to them is like shit, right? Like they don't. I don't know if that's how I feel sometimes. I see these players, I'm like, they don't care about the Portuguese Campeonato, and they're a totally different player or play differently when they go to play in Champions League or they play for their national team. So because it's something like it's a bigger stage. That's what they know that they care about that stage. Portuguese Campeonato, they're like, to me, that's how I feel.
But isn't that a problem?
It is a problem. It is a
Huge fucking
problem.
Like it's a mentality thing for the club, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's where we go back, right? We talk about like Benfica buys the pretty boys, the finesse guys, right? And the Portos of the world buy the guys that are going to fucking chip at your ankles, whether it's a friendly in the parking lot or whether it's a Champions League game, right? So, like, I think it ties back to the mindset and the type of player that Benfica buys. Bill, what do you think?
I mean, we've touched on that all season, right? Like, these guys have shown a lack of garra, right? They haven't fought for stuff all year. Like, there's a handful of games, this one included, where you can kind of say, yeah, this team fought for it and they got the result without playing well, but they fought. And it does come down to the type of players you sign, and it is very concerning when on Friday you can look like that in the second half, and today you show up and you put in probably under Verissimo, definitely our best 90 minutes. I mean,
100%.
The first half we looked a little sloppy, but that second half we looked, I thought, probably the best second half I've seen in a long time from us.
Yeah.
It's concerning that it takes a Champions League game for you to kind of get up for it when shit has hit the fan so bad in the league that you can't like get motivated to fucking try to right the ship in the league. Like, you should be able to motivate yourself for a league game when you've dropped points left and right since January.
Dude, I think we just have some of the players in our team are not the players that we were used to seeing. We're not seeing Enzo Perez on the field anymore. We're not seeing Javi Garcia's on the field anymore. You saw Javi Garcia against us with Boavista. You can still see the garra the guy plays with, right?
Yep.
And we have players like Weigl and stuff like that, and João Mario and players that have been playing for the top teams in the world, and they feel like they like, hey, tô aqui a passear type. It just doesn't.
Soft.
Yeah, they're soft. They don't. I don't see the garra today. I saw it. Otamendi is probably one of the only ones that actually shows it day in and day out, right? But everybody else, it feels like they're just there.
I think Vertonghen has this year. I can't remember many games where I think Vertonghen has.
But Vertonghen's always been
a different way.
He's been the same, just consistent. Vertonghen's good thing is being consistency. He doesn't show the garra like he's like Otamendi, where he almost wants to fight the world.
There's not many players that do that.
He's a calm guy. Like Luis Zhao was like an Otamendi. He used to like if something went wrong, if we're losing 5-0, he'll probably get a red card because he's pissed off, right? But Vertonghen, he holds it together. He's more of like a quiet but shows consistency.
Yeah, I agree. Red Baron says here, before I go to the Yogos comment, the hope I have, Ajax is normally weaker at home, and I was just looking at the stats here. Ajax at home in the league has 12 games played, 28 points. So out of 36 potential, they got 28, so they lost 8 points. Away from home, they have 11 games played, 29 points. So they're 1 point better away with one more game or one less game. But they have 46 goals scored, 3 goals conceded. But again, I think that from what we saw today, there are things that we can capitalize on in this Ajax team. Is it going to be like this there? Probably not. I said it in our group chat earlier today, and we'll touch on it before the end of the podcast. I expect a similar game to what we went through in Turin against Juve in that second leg. But
what happens if we tie 0-0, 1-1? We go to PKs
Overtime.
or
it goes to overtime.
And
So
I
it's
think
basically
that's
like another game.
Yeah, that's like our saving grace here, right?
The
There's
away
no more
goals
away
don't
goal.
count. Correct.
'Cause
Which
if-
helps.
right.
If
So
we had the
tie,
away goal right now, we'd be
if we
fucked.
tie, we go to
So
overtime.
someone-
It's PKs.
Yeah, someone has to win. Someone
Yeah.
has to win in this game, right? If it's a tie, it's going to go to overtime. It's going to go to penalties. Diogo says about Yaremchuk's celebration. I don't know if you guys noticed. Is there any real risk of him being off in the second leg due to that political touch? For those who didn't see it, when he scored, he took his jersey off and he had a black shirt underneath, which is I forgot what it was called, but it's basically the symbol of the
Trident.
Ukrainian
Ukrainian
trident. Yeah, so basically like the armed forces basically supporting his country given the current
I
situation.
mean, from what I heard in his interview, said the club supported him and knew that he had it and backed him up. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, if he does get suspended for the second game,
we've seen stuff like this before. Like there's players that have had like shirts underneath for
typically
but
all
UEFA
sorts of stuff.
you're supposed to leave that politically things out.
typically UEFA and FIFA hate the political aspect of it. But was it political?
Well, with what's going on, it is.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how this plays out, but hopefully. But it goes into a topic that I wanted to touch on was Yaremchuk comes in 60th minute or 62nd minute. He ends up finding that second goal. I thought he looked good again. I think he brings us something different in that front three. Red Baron says it's also seen in Nazi celebrations, that same symbol. That's my concern. I didn't know that, so thank you for letting us know, Red Baron. It'll be interesting to see what UEFA does here. Hopefully, if Benfica supported his decision, that they would have thought this through. But then again, they could have said, listen, we support the decision if you happen to score, because we're going to, I think, in essence, it also shows support for the player and his personal things, right? So, but again, if it has ties to Nazis and that sort of thing, I guess we'll see what comes of it. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about it, but it's a good shout. We'll see what comes of it, but hopefully it's nothing drastic. But thoughts on Yaremchuk? I think a lot of people say that him and Darwin can't play together. In a front two, maybe they need more time to work together in a front two. They're two very different strikers. I do think that Darwin gives us a lot more coming in from the left. And in the second half, when Yaremchuk came in, I felt like the team looked more fluid in the front three, right? Darwin coming in one-on-one on that left side. He had a couple crosses. He had one that I think it was Gravenberg who cleared it out for a corner kick. Yaremchuk was right there to tap it in, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it just creates a different dynamic, and it gives us something that, for example, Everton doesn't necessarily give us, right? Because Everton likes to come inside. He doesn't like to go to the end line. So what do you guys think of, and I know that we've talked about it before, right? Yaremchuk for most has been, and I think Oscar said it as well, that he's been the bust of the season, right? And air quotes here, in the sense of his value versus what the expectation was, right? Not that he's a bad player, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. Not that he's a bad player, but given his price tag, given the expectation, given he's a Ukrainian international, given what he did at the Euro, the expectation naturally is going to be high. And unfortunately, he hasn't delivered, but not to say that he can't or won't.
Correct.
But thoughts on what we saw again today from Yaremchuk, and if you guys are starting to see or believe that he could be something beneficial for us in the future, because I know there's been rumors of is he going to leave in the summer? What did you guys think of what you saw, and do you think that it could work with the front three of Darwin, Yaremchuk, and Rafa, for example?
Well, it could, because you saw in the second half when he took out Everton and he put in Yaremchuk, right? So we played a 4-3. It looked like a 4-3-3 at that time, right? Yep. And it scared the shit out of me.
Me too.
It scared me because I'm like, what the fuck are we gonna do? And I thought, there goes the move that we're not that we expected.
Yep. For him to fuck up.
To fuck up, but then he didn't touch anything else until like last few minutes of the game. And
but I think it's because he felt the team was doing well,
right? But the team was doing good against Boavista too. And then
how many times have he made subs that have?
But do you think it's in his head now? Like, fuck, all right, the team's doing good.
Dude,
let me not touch it.
No, and that was my scare. My coach, there goes the 62 minutes taking out exactly a winger. Let's put it in. Okay, exactly. It's a time clock. And the alarm went off. So like I figured there's going to be a lot more of those coming in, like 68, 70, and then we get fuck up the whole game and we probably lose by 3-4 goals, right? So he didn't. He put in Yaremchuk, which came in great, like Mikey said, and we started having the more possession. And I thought it was a good sub. Taking out Everton. I was just expecting him to take out Ramos again and put a Yaremchuk, so we can keep the midfield there more compact. But it worked out for him. Yaremchuk came in, Ramos and Darwin and Yaremchuk up front were delivering. So I worked out, and I'm glad he didn't make any changes until the end after.
Bill, what'd you think?
No, I agree, and I think that the front three with Yada, Darwin, and Rafa, I think that can work. I think we've seen it work. I think it's just sticking with it. I think they've kind of rotated a little too much. Well, before now they've kind of Verissimo settled into this formation with Darwin up top by himself and Ramos dropping a little deeper. But I think it can work, and I think his sub coming in and pushing Darwin out wide is what changed the game, and I think Darwin going up against who's their right back, Mazraoui.
Yes, the
I think he was taking that guy on left and right, and I think that's where Darwin has looked his most dangerous. And we saw it in the first half. He was always drifting out wide. He was never really central all too much. Darwin wants to get wide, get on the ball, and try to cut back in.
He's not good with his back to the goal. Like that's
no, he's not. And I think Yara does it well. I think he's shown. I think that
guy.
I think it was at the first or second part of the game where he played unbelievably with his back to goal, and I think he did it again today. And I think whatever we can do to get the most out of Darwin is beneficial for the team. So I think having him play more of that wide role, I think we get the most out of him. And I think eventually the goals will start coming from Yada.
You have to play what your strengths are, right? Like us continue to try to put a round peg in a square hole, or a square peg in a round hole, right? With Darwin playing central. Like I get it, right? You want to try to fit the other pieces around. But I think it's more than obvious that he's more influential for us coming in from the left, right? Yeah. But time will tell if he ends up becoming more of a central player. But I think right now, in my opinion, you need to figure out a way to get your best players in. And I think Yaremchuk not being in the starting lineup, for me, I think he's the best all-around striker we have, in my opinion. When he's fit and in form and confident, I think he's the best all-around striker we have. Now, having a guy like him on the bench is good depth, but I think it's also a waste of his talent. I think he brings a lot to the table. Carlos says here, quando o Benfica estava por cima, conseguiu empatar. Os últimos 8 minutos, em vez de tentar ganhar o jogo, só os vi recuar e deixar o Ajax sempre com a bola. Sem pressão, nunca se ganha, e esses últimos minutos fiquei muito aborrecido com esse facto. Kenny mentioned it as well. Tarapt was slow to come off. At the end, I forgot who went down with a muscle injury or a head injury. And Kenny got the sense that the team was kind of just trying to pass time at that moment. Did you guys see it the same way? And could it have been the fact that, again, this was a game of an intensity level that these players aren't used to in Portugal, right? And do you think it was just a matter of like, we are fucking gassed. Let's kill this game off now. The away goals don't hurt us, right? And let's get away with the draw and not put ourselves in a position where we end up losing this game, given what we
but you have to, like, the Benfica mentality is off so bad right now because we're playing at home. We're playing with a full stadium of supporters that are pushing for us, right? And we're wasting time so the clock runs out because we are happy with a tie. That's embarrassing to me. That is very embarrassing. I'm used to Benfica. We played Everton, Tottenham, Juventus at home, and we go until the 90th minute pushing to end this game because we're playing at home, right? I know the away goals don't count, but now we have to go away, win there. And if we won today, we would have got a tie, would have been enough there, right? So to me, is like the mentality is like, man, we suck, and a tie is a good result, and maybe we get lucky there.
Like, but do you think that mentality is fruit of the current situation, right? Like the team's not playing very well, right? And then all week you hear about fucking Ajax, right? They smashed Sporting, this, that, and the other thing, and they're scoring goals left and right, right? And you went behind. You went behind twice, and you came back, right? And I'm not disagreeing with you, Oscar, right? Like the mindset for a club like Benfica at home, regardless of who the fuck you're playing against, with the exception of, the top 4 teams, right? The Bayerns, the Liverpools, the Manchester Cities, those teams today, right? I completely agree that Benfica should be playing to win, shouldn't be wasting time. But given the current context of the situation, I can almost understand if that was their plan, right? Again, the amount of energy and effort that they put into it is a much higher level than what they're used to here in Portugal. And at times, if I'm being honest, I felt like Ajax didn't even put their foot on the pedal. Like there were certain times that I'm like, I feel like if they really pick up the tempo, like they could completely just fucking torch us, right? But that was just but I completely agree with you that shouldn't be Benfica's mindset. But I can understand it given the current circumstances.
I get it, but the mentality should be where Benfica were playing at home. We have to win this game. Like
Red
if you want,
Baron says it right? Eu acho que foi uma combinação de indícios físicos e confiança. I completely agree with it. Subscribo totalmente do que disseste aí. Again, physically, they were fucking battered. And from a confidence perspective, like we've seen the last 3 months, like this team has been an absolute roller coaster. Like it's good, it's fucking shit, right? Gattuso said it perfectly. Sometimes good, sometimes shit. Unfortunately for us, most recently it's been a lot of times shit and sometimes good.
Yeah. You also saw Gonçalo Ramos at the end. He did this flash interview, right?
I didn't see the flash interview, so give me some info on that.
Yeah, he goes. They asked him like how he goes, dude. Towards the last 5 minutes of the game, I wanted the clock to end. I wanted the pizza.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm like,
he's one of the more in shape ones.
He's been playing.
And he legit, but he goes, but right now I kind of could go a few more minutes, and I'm like, oh. Right. So it's like honestly, like it also goes, and then we criticize Verissimo for making the wrong subs at the wrong times, right? But then you let these guys play the whole 90 minutes, and this happens. Like they're tired towards the last 5 minutes. It was like these guys, the people commenting are saying, we looked like we were just happy with the result and giving them the ball to defend. So it can go either way. But now he has to. The Verissimo, he's a coach. He knows the players that he has. He has to figure out the best system when he makes changes that will refresh the team and not make him worse, right? So that's something he has to figure out, not us.
Bill,
I also think you have to take into account that it is a two-legged tie. Like it's the Champions League. You got a home and away. Like away goal's gone now, so you have to take in. You can't just think of the one game, right? Like if we had gone balls out to try to get the win at home and they score, then we're going to Ajax. Fuck.
Yep.
Right. I agree. You want Benfica to fucking win every game, and they should have that mentality. But you get to a time point in a game, and you have to start thinking about the second leg. Like it's not just one leg.
Correct. We're at halftime right now.
Right. You have to think about going to Ajax. Right. Going
to
Amsterdam.
But Bill,
going to Amsterdam with a tie,
it sucks. It's
better than going to
Amsterdam
with a loss,
yeah,
right?
But if we have any chance,
that very well could have happened.
But it could have happened that we go there with a win. And
we could have.
And do we have a better chance of going there with a win or going there with a loss? I think playing at home, we have a better chance of going there with a win because we're playing at home. We have the fans behind us, and we actually playing well, right? So this is like guaranteed. A team like Vizela or Gil Vicente goes to the lose and scores a few goals, and we're tied. They would do that kind of stuff to us, right? Or they would basically be happy with a tie,
right.
Like. That's what I felt like we were doing. And Ajax, even though they're a good team, it's a team that Benfica should be competing with.
I don't disagree with you. And that actually, I thought about it earlier, right? Where you said Benfica should be competing, right? And we've had this conversation over the course of the last week or so in our group chat is, right, Portuguese teams are unable to compete with the best teams in Europe. Right. And when we contextualize this whole thing, this Ajax team, came to Portugal and beat current champions, right? And to many, that team is the best team collectively and the best team playing football in our country, right? Completely smashed them at home. They went to Netherlands and they got smashed, right? And then we have a Benfica team that everyone's been dragging through the mud, including us, has been atrocious. We've talked about the terrible, planning of the season, how inconsistent we've been, right? And here they come in and, right, all this talk about Ajax, this, that, and the other thing, we don't compete. And all of a sudden we come away with the 2-2 draw at home against this Ajax team in a game where we were behind 2 times. Like, I feel like we were able to compete in a situation where no one thought we were going to be able to compete, right? I mean, most people thought we were going to get smashed, right? Kenny was one of them. Bill was one of them. And I'm sure many non-Benfica fans were of that opinion as well. But I thought that, again, I get the mindset. I think your mindset, Oscar, is coming from a place of the Benfica that we grew up watching, right? The Benfica mentality, right? Like, we're a big club. We have to, we shouldn't be playing for a tie. But again, I think given the context of it all, I'm not. It annoys me but I'm not entirely bothered by it given the current situation we're in. Because again, like Bill said, if we had tried to push for that third goal and we get fucked, right? Like I think mentality wise, I think the team came away a hell of a lot better from this result than had they gone balls to the wall, right? And obviously then we concede, and then going there, like now you're really fucked, right? Because now you're really up against it. I mean, you have to win anyways, right? Because it's a tie.
Look. Remember the year that Benfica played Barcelona, the Ronaldinho Gaúcho Barcelona, and we tied at home, and then we went there and lost 2-0 or whatever it was with the
Moreto scored saved the penalty at home.
Right, Ronaldinho. That's like obviously we knew Barcelona at the time was a prime Barcelona. It was like the elite Barcelona, and at home we gave them the fight of their life. We could have won that game, right? And the thing, I'm so used to the teams to come to the lose and actually come scared, and Benfica playing to win. No matter who it was, Benfica comes to like you talk about Barcelona now is one of the worst Barcelonas we've ever seen in our lifetime, right? Like they're getting better, but when we played them and all that at their home, I don't see them playing to tie a game or even in the Champions League or group stage. They played to win every single game. They might have not won them, but they played to win every single game. They had the possession, they had the chances, they just couldn't score. So that's what I'm used to seeing Benfica playing at home. Even if just the name themselves, the name Benfica, should be enough to play teams face to face at home and not scared. Top teams in the world and the whole world. And I don't see that right now from them.
I don't disagree, but I think again it's based on the situation we're going through, right? And that Barcelona game is a good example. But when you think back, right, in the last 10, 12 years, has Benfica gone through a stage like we are right now? Probably not, right? Like, I mean, there was a season where JJ was the coach and we finished 8 or 12 points back of the leader. But again, like it wasn't a situation like we're in today.
We weren't that when we played Barcelona that year. It was 2006, 2007, maybe it was prior to Jesus. And I think it was with Coleman, to be honest with you.
I think we had Ronald Coleman.
Yeah, and we went far in the Champions League, and we weren't very good in the league.
And we beat Liverpool, 1-0.
Do you remember what we did in the league? We were terrible in the league.
I fine, but I'm talking about in the luge with top teams from the world came to the luge. We played them to beat them
because the way Coleman set up was perfect for the Champions League games because we were the underdog, right? And I thought that. I mean, for him, it worked out perfectly. In the league, it was a nightmare for him because it didn't work out so well. Fred says, atenção, Benfica no passado, seja qual fosse o clube na luz, o Benfica mandava. Exatamente, right? It's true, but again, given the current context, I think is a little bit different. Red Baron says it's a good team. This team breezed right through the qualifying stages. They won all 6 games. We need to give Benfica credit specifically because we're obviously going through a tough time. Again, I completely agree. Given the current circumstances, I think that we need to give a little bit of leeway here. But I think Benfica in their prime and playing well and confident, I 100% would agree with you, Oscar, that we can't be playing, trying to kill off the last 8 minutes, regardless of who the hell it's against. But again, I go back to what I said before. Bill, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to touch on the Ajax. Like this Ajax core is like they were like minutes away from a Champions League final a few years ago. Like, correct. This is a very good team that we went toe-to-toe with today, and we could have gotten a positive result. But I think, like Mike said, the context of everything going on in our season right now, with this being the first leg, I think coming away with a draw rather than a loss is ideal here.
Fred says, olha, na luz contra a Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Milão, tinha uma equipa terrível, mas na luz empatamos e temos muita luta. Again, right? Contra a Juventus ganhamos 2-1, salvo erro, que o Lima marca
no final,
marca no final. Contra o Barcelona, como o Oscar disse, empatamos aquele jogo, o Moreto faz uma defesa num penalti, perdemos lá. But again, like, right, that Juve game, for example, is a completely different context, right? Like the team was playing very well that season, right? So it's like a completely different scenario around the team. Like this team is crying out for confidence, for motivation, and I felt like we finally had a stadium full of fans, and the fans weren't fucking shitting on the players.
Didn't end with white flags being fucking
right, like
tossed around.
I feel like the team is going to take a lot positives from this game. Hopefully, right? Time will tell. For all we know, they'll show up on Sunday against Vitória in the league and fucking lay an egg.
Yeah.
Right? So time will tell. Ajax tem with Fizore. Yeah, again, their defense isn't that great, right? But again, they don't get tested very often because they don't give up the ball very often. Diogo says, kind of off topic, that pregame video released by Ajax gave me so many goosebumps. I know, Oscar, you had your thoughts on that. What do you have to say about it?
I mean, the chess game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the guy was going with the Ajax past players, and then we came with our players, and I'm like, dude, I think I'll take Ajax players any day over the players that our guy mentioned. I'm like, I think he mentioned Ibra.
You said Ibra, and we said Di Maria.
Di Maria, and I'm like, for this, like, I mean, Ibra is an icon to.
But I think
Di Maria is good, but man, let's not compare those two.
I believe that Ajax is the one that coordinated that video.
That was Ajax's video.
They coordinated it, and I think what they were going after from a Benfica perspective was the more common names, right? Because when you say Ibrahimovic, I would have said Jonas, Cardoso.
Yeah.
Right? But those aren't more well-known names, I would say. So that's probably why they went with Di Maria there. I thought that one, it didn't really make sense either.
Yeah, to me it didn't at all. I mean, we had so many. You have players like that, like Rui Costa. He could have mentioned Rui Costa. He could have mentioned João Vieira Pinto. He could have mentioned anybody that like.
I'm just surprised they didn't mention Rui Costa when they started.
Well, Rui Costa wasn't at his best. He didn't have his best years at Benfica.
They were talking about the formation.
True.
When they went through all the players coming out of
they mentioned Bernardo Silva, Cancelo, Ruben Dias, Ederson.
Yeah. Like I'm surprised at that point. Like they didn't mention Rui because Rui, up until this recent crop, he was our shining star for academy players.
And I liked how they ended with Eusebio, though. That was like, okay.
And then he was like,
Cruyff.
Yeah, like
Cruyff.
Yeah. You're like, okay, all right, let's walk away. Let's see. Red Baron says that Benfica team against Juve was one of the best Benfica teams in the last 20, 30 years. At least its level of soccer was. I agree. I think that and I feel like a lot of our expectation now as Benfica fans, at least our generation, hinges on that quality, right? The Markovic's, the Limas, that team like was an absolute machine. And I feel like that's the bar for us now as fans, right? Like we need to compete at that level or else it's not good enough. And unfortunately, we haven't been at that level in quite some time. Hopefully
that team, I don't think in our lifetime, I don't think we'll ever see a team like that. We spent more money now than we did at that team.
100%.
And it was just like, they put the pieces fell together
it was amazing.
Like and I give this goes to Jesus, right?
Yeah.
He like Enzo was a right back and he sucked, right? And not right back, he was a right wing and he sucked as a right wing. And then he put him in the midfield. He adapted them right there, and that guy was a machine. Probably one of the best midfielders.
Moxie was a right wing, and he was slow as fuck, and he played as a right back.
And
Fabio Contrao.
But as box to box, I don't think in Benfica's history or my Benfica that I've watched, I don't think I've seen better than Enzo. What box to box number 8 guy? Like
I agree.
He was phenomenal.
A machine.
Like legit a workhorse.
I think there's a lot of players on that team that we could say that for. Like it's going to be hard to find another player that like goes up to that standard. Like that team was unbelievable.
One of my favorites of that we've had, and I know we've had Jonas. Cardoso is obviously an icon, but Lima to me was one of the guys that like almost goes forgotten, and he's like he was a beast.
He wasn't flashy, but he did so much work, and he could find the back of the net. Red Baron says the Lodge football in those 6 months got close. Do you agree?
I
feel like it was different.
Yeah, with like not bigger like that team. The team the Lodge had is a team that will probably go to play Manchester United and not intimidate them, or Tottenham or Everton. And the team that we had when we had the Lima, the Cardoso, the Enzos, and all that would go to, I think, make me feel comfortable to go to any stadium in the world, and we will compete to win that game. Like that's how I felt that those years with Benfica.
Speaking on Lige, did you see his comment? I think it was
about
today
when he got sacked.
Yeah, he was like, just look at Benfica. I was the manager of the year. I was manager of January, February, March, April. Lost 2 games and I was fired. He's like, that's why I always have my car keys in my pocket now.
Yeah, but the reality is he didn't lose 2 games. Yeah. He had 2 wins in like 13 games or 10 games. Fred says, olhem bem para a equipa do Ajax, defesa é muito lenta e bolas longas para as costas da defesa andam aos papéis. I agree. Acho que é
Yeah, but they don't concede goals at all. So something must be working.
Hey, but I mean, they conceded 5 goals in their last, only 5 goals in their last like 15 or 10 games or whatever, and today they conceded 2, and they could have conceded more. So I think it's going to be a shootout. It's just a matter of can we be efficient with the chances that we get. Fred also says, olha, Manchester no Ronaldo, Benfica ganhou 2, com aquele golo do Beto. Yeah, Beto marca e o Giovanni marca outro. I think that was the game that
Ronaldo gave
the fans
finger. Yeah. Sorry, they had blue jerseys.
Yeah, and we knocked them out of the Champions League. They have to win that.
It was they got fourth place. They got fourth place. We went through and they went home.
But if they had won, they would have gone through, right?
Yeah.
And Red Baron says in terms of that video, they should have put Binya in there. That would have tilted it in our favor. Oh, 100%.
I would have thought that was the worst video in the world. Imagine putting Binya and Eusebio in the same sentence.
Oh my God. Sentence shouldn't even be in the same book, let alone the same sentence. Carlos Pereira says, falta trinco antiga. And this is a topic that I wanted to touch on before we close off is, given what we saw today, a collective performance, I'm of the opinion that Benfica is realistically 2 or 3 pieces away from having a really solid team, right? In my opinion, a solid midfielder, in my opinion, a solid right back, and in my opinion, a solid left back that can defend consistently. And Carlos says here, falta trinco antiga. Do you guys get the same sense, or do you think there's more pieces here that need to be replaced than just 2 or 3 touches to the team?
Well, dude, it's funny that Red Baron said that, because I was thinking Fecha is like, I was thinking of Fecha. I was like, I even mentioned it to you guys on the text message. Xavi Garcia on our side would make Benfica so much more better. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think
we have. I agree. I think I like Weigl, but I don't think he's a true trinco.
Hold on, Bill, before you go. Baron, tell us what you think, and those of you in the chat, let us know where you think Benfica needs to touch on. Are we 2-3 pieces away from being a very better or more consistent team collectively and individually, or do you think there's more overhaul that needs to happen on this team? Bill, carry
on. What I was saying, I don't think Weigl's a true trinco. But I also think, like, if you're looking at our needs, that might be one of like a trinco to replace Weigl might be one of the last things I think I would look at.
You think it's the last? Fuck, I would say that's my first.
I think Weigl is very consistent. I think finding.
I'm not saying that a trinco coming in takes Weigl out.
Right, but I think finding a box to box or like a number 10, someone that's more creative, I think that is more important to our midfield than finding a true trinco. But I agree. I think right back definitely, because I like Gilberto, but I don't think he's like the future right back of the team. I think we need
Botafogo wants him too. There's rumors that they offered like $4 million.
I think that needs to be addressed.
So you say a right back. What else would you think we need?
Grimaldo looks like he's gone, so left back, because I don't think Gil Diaz can fucking do it.
Do you think we need anything in the front line?
I think Verissimo coming back is going to be make the CBs fine.
Yeah. Up top. I think it all depends on if people leave, but if we're
just saying
the squad,
current state, just the squad itself. If you need to fill gaps, where would you go? I
would go right back, left back, and then midfield. I think we have enough up top going forward. I think we need. Our biggest issue is creating those chances for those people. So I think getting someone in the midfield that can create chances and kind of transport that game like we've had Tarap been doing for the last couple of games. I think that is very important.
So you're saying right back, left back, and a box to box, and then a trinco?
Yeah.
In that order? Or are you going your box to box, right back, left back, trinco?
I would say right back, box to box, left back, trinco.
Okay.
I think the right back is very important. I just don't see
Red Baron
any of our
says
options there.
a right back, a good goalie, and a box-to-box. Fred says, precisamos de um Enzo Pérez, um Renato Sanches, um Ruben Dias, um Nelson Semedo, um Ederson, um Di Maria, um Bernardo Silva, um Cancelo. Acho que com estes podemos ser campeões europeus com Guardiola como treinador. Fred, acertou.
Eu acho que assinava para baixo.
Red Baron says, I'll take Gil Deus to the airport of Botafogo. And Diogo says, what are the lone players that could actually fit in Benfica squad right now, in your opinion? Let me get Oscar's opinion on where he thinks we need to fill gaps first.
All right. So I think the midfield will be fine if we can get a defensive midfielder and push up Weigl and João Mario, right? Agreed. So if you put in a Javi Garcia type of player, like, right, and move up Weigl to basically be the connecting, and then João Mario be more like a number 8, because I think João Mario playing that defensive role, it hurts him. I think he needs to be pushed up a little bit more, and I think Weigl also hurts him play Trinco, so he needs to push up a little bit more. Getting a Javi Garcia type of player with Weigl, João Mario as a trio in the middle, I think will benefit our midfield, making it a lot stronger. So I think the central defensive midfield is my priority, and then I would go to I think Gilberto does a decent job. Obviously, we need some kind of reinforcement for the right and left, because Grimaldo obviously needs somebody there to back him up or replace him when we need to defend. And the Gilberto doesn't. I mean, we talked Diogo Gonçalves up a lot, but I think he also benefits the system with three center backs, right? So I think the defensive midfield is, to me, the priority. And then up front, I like Everton on the left when we have the ball, and he's actually been stepping up a little bit. So that could stay there. Rafa on the right, when he's on. And then as a striker, I think Seferovic is probably past his time at Benfica. I think I respect him. I will not talk shit about him, but I think it's time to new challenge there. I hope Yaremchuk steps up and is a player that we're all thought he could be or think he can be, even though I've already saw in newspapers that they're finding him a home or they're trying to get rid of him.
I saw that too, but then he also had an interview and said that Rui Costa expects a lot from him and he wants to stay. So
right, and so I think we need a striker as well, because we need somebody that can score goals and guarantee goals, right? And at this point, we have hit and miss with Darwin and nobody else.
Fred says, boa noite, abraço grande. Como te disse, o Benfica não perdeu hoje, fui à Luz, pelos vistos tenho que ir mais vezes. É verdade, Fred. Para o próximo jogo, domingo, a ver se está lá, para ver se o Benfica não perde. Um abraço, obrigado por participar aqui no nosso cantinho e uma boa noite. Red Baron says, we also need players that can come off the bench and keep the same level. That's where the formação may help. There's a couple already at this point. We can't go out and spend 100 million again. Completely agree. Diogo says, João Mario should play like Renato Sanches from Walmart type. He's a downgraded version of Renato Sanches, I guess. Touching on Diogo's question, which was players who could fit that are on loan right now. So I have, I'll bring up the list of players that are on loan.
Is it a massive list like it used to be?
It's not, surprisingly. Hold on, let me make this bigger for you guys.
Peasy, absolutely.
So here's the list of players that are on loan. Can you guys see that? Is that big enough?
One more zoom in? Or
Hold
is that
on.
going to throw everything off?
So we got Vukotic at the bottom, so we'll just remember that one. So we got Carlos Vinícius, Florentino, Gedson, Pizzi, Jota, Gabriel, Ferro, Chiquinho, Tomás Tavares, Tiago Dantas, German, Conti, Nuno Santos, and Pedro Pereira, and Ivan Vukotic is at Boavista. Of these players, do you see anyone here that could potentially fit in? I mean, when I look at it first glance, I think Florentino, maybe. I'm of the opinion that Pizzi is likely not going to play for Benfica again, given the circumstances. I could be wrong, but we'll see. Jota, I guess it depends on, does he trust the process of what they're offering him if they do offer him an extension. Gabriel has some really good numbers in his loan spell. Again, he's playing in Qatar, I believe it is, or the UAE. So different level. But I mean, the Gabriel that we saw on the Bruno Lage was pretty good. But Bill, I'll ask you, anyone here in this loan list that you think could come back and have some sort of impact at Benfica next season?
I mean, I think we touched on it on the last pod. I think Jota, to me, instantly kind of stands out just because of the season he's looked like he's having at Celtic. Other than that, I don't really. I mean, Florentino, we keep fucking hearing about him, but he never.
He was supposed to come back, but then
Right.
yeah, I don't even think he's playing there again.
Yeah, and even when he's like does the preseason, like he never really pans out. So I mean, I think he's probably done for. Same thing with Jetson, and I'd be very surprised if PZ was to come back. I mean, the only other one is Vinicius, right? Oscar loves him. I hated him. I didn't like him at all, but.
I think if we lose Seth and we don't want to invest money, Vinicius is an obvious name to come back.
I don't disagree with that. I wasn't his biggest fan, but he can score goals. But I think he would be a good option as a backup. Some quality,
or even compete with the Yaremchuk and Darwin. I mean that I think he would do fine. If we lose Seth and we need a guy to play there. Why not? He scores goals. He was our lead. He played for 1 year for us, and he was our leading goal scorer in the league.
Red Baron says Tinu's probably one of the biggest disappointments I had up until now. He says Nuno Santos, he's at Passos now, right? If I'm not mistaken.
So.
Passos. He was at Boavista last year. He had a good year last year too at Boavista. Red Baron says Vinny is sold.
I was just thinking
their option is mandatory. I wasn't sure if it was optional or mandatory, but now that I think of it, I believe he is right that it was mandatory.
With Olympiacos?
No, he's at PSV.
Yeah, PSV.
Oh, PSV is right.
Yep. Because it was a 2-year loan.
Yeah.
Diogo says Nuno Santos surprised me a lot this season. He surprised me last year. I don't know if you guys saw him, but at Boavista last year, he looked really good. But again, right, playing at Paços Ferreira, playing at Boavista is a completely different level than playing at Benfica. But again, you won't know until they actually get that chance.
Is Tavares playing at Basel?
Tomas Tavares. Let me see. I looked
that stands out just because I know we need
Florentino, for example, in the last 12 games, the most he's played is one game he played 86 minutes, but then other than that, he was out 6 games. He was on the bench, and then the other games he played 1 minute, 16 minutes, 29 minutes. So he's not getting much playing time. For Tomas Tavares, he has this season 6 appearances. So, I mean, hold on. So that was 6 appearances in the Super League. Hold on. Let me look at this whole thing. So in the entire season, he's got 11. Oh, wait. Hold on. This is Super League. Fuck. It keeps filtering. All season, he has 19. 11 games in the league, 6 Conference League, and 2 in the Swiss Cup. He's got 11 or 1,200 minutes. So, I mean, not bad. He played 90 minutes the first half of the season, and then the last 9-10 games he's been on the bench, not in the squad, 90 minutes twice. So again, there's a lot of inconsistencies there, right? Which makes it difficult for these guys to build some routines. But again, I'm not very hopeful of the guys that are out on loan. Diogo says, unfortunately, I cannot see the big Ferro once we saw playing firmly in Benfica again.
I know. He looked like a stud.
Yeah, he sure as hell was a big Ferro, that's for sure. But then he fell apart.
Dude, I remember saying he was going to be better than Ruben Diaz.
I said the same thing. I thought he was going to be better, but boy, did he tricked us. Red Baron says Conference League. Yeah, he was playing in the Conference League. Tomas Tavares. To wrap it up here, Benfica plays against Vitória Sport Club on Sunday, 1:00 at the Estádio da Luz. Again, we're turning the chip here based on what we've seen between the league and the Champions League now, and now we're going back to the league. Bill, I'll start with you. Thoughts on this game? Just quick expectations. Do you think that the team physically is going to show some fragility there in the sense of, they put a lot on the line here? And they're potentially going to run into one of those lulls where it's like you come out of – typically the teams when they go from Champions League to the league, there's normally kind of like a break there from a motivational perspective, from a performance perspective. Are you expecting that given what we've seen, or do you think that this performance could kind of lift the team? We have 3 league games between now and Ajax in Amsterdam. We play Vitória, we go to Portimonense, and then we play Vizela at home. Right, so we have 3 league games right now between now and the game in Amsterdam. So how are you feeling about this game? Do you think we're going to have a struggle here? Do you think that it could project this team to a strong finish?
With the Benfica we've seen in the last like 2 months, who fucking knows? Like it is Jekyll and Hyde. Like we could come in against Vitória and play pressure like we did today, and in the first half against Boavista, and then we could look like shit in the second half, or we could come in and just look lethargic and like shit from the beginning. Like we haven't been consistent at all this season. I mean, our only consistency is our inconsistency, I guess, which is horrible because we've had results like the one we had today, which should, in theory, kind of motivate the team and kind of bring your morale up a bit. But until they can prove me wrong, you can't expect much from this team in back-to-back games. Like I in my heart, I want to say they're going to come out and play well, but I just have a feeling that we're going to come out and we're going to look sloppy and lethargic and tired and
more of the
squeak
usual.
out. Yeah, going to squeak out like a tie or something.
Okay, Oscar, are you of the same opinion?
Guimarães hasn't been playing well either. They've been losing games left and right. So, this is a big opportunity for Benfica to show up, play well, win the game, and after coming back from this positive result in Champions League, I think it's these guys are coming motivated, and I think we'll win, and it's going to be more than 2 goals.
Okay. Guimarães is 2-0-3 in their last 5. Scored 8, conceded 9. Benfica is 3-1-1 in their last 5. Scored 10, conceded 6. Guimarães is currently 6th with 30 points. Benfica's 3rd with 51. Like Red Baron says, Braga's creeping up on us. They're 7 points back. We still have to go play at Braga later this season. So,
it's funny that we're playing a team that has 2 rejects from us. All right, Varela and Alfa Semedo.
Yep.
And then we have another guy that loves scoring on Benfica and will do anything to beat Benfica with Quaresma. So
yeah, we'll see. SLBES says Benfica needed a morale booster. This game might turn them around, but it'll be hard since they know that even the second may be unattainable at this point. True. I mean, it's still within reaching distance, but it's going to be tough. Red Baron says bullseye, Bill. 8 or 80 with this Benfica team, unfortunately.
All over the place.
Red Baron says we beat Barcelona and lost to Porto B, a.k.a. Portimonense. So, yeah, exactly, right? The Resaca game after a Champions League performance typically is that banana peel that you run into. So, we'll see. Thank you to everyone that was in the comments. There was a lot of new names, a lot of common names. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. If you follow us on YouTube or on Facebook, if you just like the page, it doesn't count as a follow. So if you go to our page and click the follow button, it would be greatly appreciated. I know that many of you still get notifications, so you think you follow the page, which in fact Facebook is tricky that way. So don't just hit the thumb, hit the follow button as well. We will be back next week. Benfica plays Sunday, so should be back on a regular schedule, which is on Monday evening to recap the Vitória game. Gentlemen, any last thoughts before we sign off?
Hey, it was a good performance. I just hope we keep this momentum.
I'm just happy I didn't have to take a shot today.
Boa noite, Diogo. Já é tarde aí desse lado. Gentlemen, as always, it was a pleasure. We'll be back next week. Viva Benfica and sleep well.
Viva
Good evening,
Benfica.
Boys.